What's up, guys? Farooqi Bros here. This is podcast number 24. And to introduce myself, as always, I'm editor-in-chief Shiraz Farooqi. And I'm joined by my brother Zayyan. What's up, guys? My cousin Omer.
Hey everyone.
And my other cousin Samir.
What's up?
So, guys, today I want to discuss like a certain topic. It's been kind of relevant in the fandom. I thought I might as well bring it to more fruition in a different way and have a more layered conversation about it. And it's about kind of like the Snyder Cut campaign and kind of the politics behind it and what people are thinking about it. And specifically today, we saw, Ben Shapiro tweet about the Snyder Cut. And he said, release the Snyder Cut. He might have said it in a jokey way, a sarcastic way. In the context of conversation, you can never get 100% of the inflection, but it is important to say how fans reacted to it, and it kind of brought a topic that I felt was needed to be brought. And in this case, it's should politics interfere with campaigns' goals, right? And people are on different sides of that. So in this situation, we have Ben Shapiro, who tweeted with Snyder Cut, and then all the fans, not all the fans, but a lot of fans, jumped on that. And, on some basic level, I get it. He has 2 million followers. You want to get that exposure. But to quote Samir, and I'm sure he'll get into it, but not all support is good support, So I'll open the floor to you guys to just kind of give your raw takes. Like, where do you stand on that? Like, not even Ben Shapiro in particular, but we can get into that as well. But like the idea of like people's interpersonal politics and the Snyder Cut, and like what does that mean for the campaign going forward?
So I guess I'll just jump in. I think it is connected. It is connected because if the Release Snyder Cut campaign, they want exposure, they want to be talked about and discussed in a national setting, and if you have certain people associated with that, then you give off the wrong image. And a lot of certain bloggers and these people, they call the Snyder fans and really Snyder movement, they call it alt right or whatever the case. And we know that's false. But when you support people like Shapiro in this situation, or anyone else like him, that gives off the wrong message. And I know a lot of people say there's no such thing as bad publicity. But I think in this case, this is not someone or the type of person or people you just want to have this this campaign associated with.
When a person like Ben Shapiro tweets, release a Snyder Cut, my reaction is like nothing. Like, my reaction is I don't care. Because that's how my reaction is. I actually don't. Like, it doesn't... Like, from my perspective, yeah, I mean, to the people that are, like, on the opposite end of that spectrum, to them, of course, those people, they're going to feel, that it's going to kind of validate the stereotype that Snyder fans or like Zack Snyder, the people that liked, his previous films are all, like, middle-aged white men. Right? At the same time, you can't control that. Like, it's not something you control. Like, if there are a lot of middle-aged white men that like that movie, okay, who cares? Like, I mean, like, that's the way I look at it. As far as, like, from a campaign standpoint, of course, it doesn't help your cause because, like, we'll probably get into it later, but this is a guy that, he has said some things that are just very idiotic, like, stupid. And, as Muslims, obviously, we know he's said some things against us, but it's not just us. Like, he's spoken against other, marginalized communities. And, like, this is a film, right? This is a campaign to get a film released. It's different than politics. Like, it's separate in a sense. From a campaign standpoint, of course, it's always going to be together, and you're going to get hurt because this is a guy that has said some crazy things. And just to give our audience, like, just to kind of ground it in something, um, the Quebec massacre, the guy that did the Quebec massacre, he used to listen to Ben Shapiro. And one of the things, this is on video, it's not even like something, a report or something leaked or something. This is on video. He's talking to a psychologist, and he's saying that I feared these people because of what I've heard about them. And we know for a fact that he watched Ben Shapiro, he supports Ben Shapiro. So, when these guys say these things, they can have an effect. Like, they might not be pulling a trigger or anything, but it can have a big effect. And we have six people died in that massacre. They were killed, martyred. And, at the end of the day, like, at some level, yes, we're talking about movies, and on another level, like, there's a lot of harm that people like him are bringing to society. And because of that, yes, I would say you wouldn't want this person associated with this campaign, and this campaign is already famous for overzealousness, right? This is whatever the truth is separate from how we're perceived, or how this movement or this campaign is perceived. So we have to be smart in who we kind of endorse in a way. And a person like this should definitely, you should run the other way. That's the way I look at it. Go ahead, Samir.
Yeah, you basically summed everything up right there. I mean,
well, I think Samir. I think
It's like Joe.
no. But the funny thing is Samir, your tweet.
What are your thoughts on superposition?
No, the funny thing is that Samir, your tweet kind of started it off. We all saw Ben Shapiro's tweet, and what did you quote tweet? Why don't you tell the audience?
I said that's a yanks for me, dog.
and then someone actually commented under your post and saying, what's the problem with them saying it? And what did you say back?
I said not all support is good support.
So, and let's get into that. Like, tell me kind of like what you think about that in terms of support, and why would his thing hurt the fandom in that sense? Explain to, let's say, if someone doesn't know what's going on, explain to them.
Like, just because he said to release a Snyder Cut doesn't mean you should support him, because his morals are like all out of whack. I don't know.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree,
Yeah.
and I think I'll touch on all the points that were made before, and as we kind of wrap this up. But Zayyan said that DC fans, not DC fans, even Zack Snyder fans, are already called all like the worst names, and in terms of reputation, you're not gonna get the Snyder Cut unless you get big voices involved, right? And that's I feel like some of the people in the campaign are taking it too literally and saying, "Oh my God, Ben Shapiro's 2 million followers. This is exactly what we need." But that's the opposite, because you attached Ben Shapiro to this campaign, to the Snyder Cut campaign. Three things will happen. Number one, you lost credibility right away, and its credibility is already hard to gain with this fandom, because as much as we try, there is people who might a little bit of bullying tactics, things like that happen, and you don't want to see that as well. So putting Ben Shapiro, tagging alongside it, confirming stereotypes that are already on the fandom, not smart. Number two, you're marginalizing the people who are already part of the fandom. The fandom, as Omer said, even if it's nothing wrong with being whatever you are and liking the movies. It's not like, oh, conservatives can't like Batman vs. Superman, or Trump supporters can't like Batman vs. Superman. That's not the case. And obviously, anyone can like everything. It's just a movie, and it's just entertainment, right? But at the same time, when you attach Ben Shapiro, and Ben Shapiro's just the first step, just the first step. Because where's the fine line? And I think, the Hub account right now, which is the Snyder Cut account, which is kind of bringing together, all the houses of the fandom and all the big voices are kind of putting their support behind it, which is a great thing, I think. But when they say that, we don't want to have any political stance on it, and we're not going to condone or condemn what Ben Shapiro feels like, well, that explains to what is a political thing. So if someone is saying Muslim people in the West are a disease, and that Afghani civilians can be killed and it doesn't matter, and a bunch of other things, Palestinian settlements that it doesn't matter, resettle all of Palestine because Arabs are people who live in open sewage. So and then he also spoke on people like Mike Brown and Trayvon Martin and said that, oh yeah, Trayvon would have been alive if he didn't attack or whatever the case might be. So many vitriolic things. Now, is that political? I don't think it's political. Political is, yeah, you think conservative ideology, liberal ideology, but this has nothing to do with that. This is you literally attacking another group of people, and has nothing to do with politics. So when someone tells me, and people have been in my mentions all day on Twitter, and they tell me that, oh, get over it and just let the politics out of it, well, it's politics to you. It's not politics to me, because he's talking about my people. So it's not really politics anymore. It's personal. And for you, it's politics because, well, frankly put, you're not in the situation. You're not part of the conversation. So I think that's small things that are important to remember. And my opinion, I think our voice, the comic book debate voice, and the Farooqi Brothers podcast is one of the cornerstone voices in the campaign, alongside guys like Real Anarchy, that podcast, and of course Stephen Colbert at Screen Rant, and of course Chris Wong and Film Junkie. They're all doing great stuff, right? So these are like the premier voices, and it's important that everyone stays on the same page in this, that we cannot take every bit of low-hanging fruit that shows up, And what's next? Like, next time you're going to tell me a KKK member wants a Snyder Cut, and we'll be like, oh, keep your politics out of it. That's not how it works. So, anyone else have something to add on to that? Omer or Zayyan, and you want to add something to what I'm saying?
I think, yeah, everything just well said. It is a discussion of, when, if they don't stop they don't put the foot in the sand here, then when will it stop? And that's something I think they'll really have to think about if they let this keep going. I don't know. It feels like they will. And when do you stop? When do you say, no, this person is not the person we want to associate with?
You gotta draw a fine line. If you don't draw a fine line now, you're gonna let it go out of control, which is why I feel like all the voices had to come together for this.
Dude, guys, at the end of the day, this guy's a clown, all right? And if he wants to tweet, people gotta really know who you gotta know who you're kind of endorsing. You know what I mean? It matters. Like, what they say matters. At the end of the day, 6 people would be alive today. Like, that's the way I look at it. All right, 6 people would have been alive today if he didn't do what the hell. If he didn't say half the shit he was saying. So we have to be smart in how we look at people like that. And again, many people kind of hear this podcast and feel like we're being very harsh, or we're coming at it from a very emotional angle. And my answer to that is yes, we are, and we're right to. We're valid to have that angle to come at it from, because again, many people they don't see it as a life and death thing. They see it as a very because you may not understand what Muslims go through in the Western world and beyond. You cannot relate. You don't know why we feel the way we feel. So at the end of the day, the politics of it is separate. But at the same time, when you're looking at it from a campaign standpoint, you're looking at it from a PR lens too, and it's idiotic to have someone like this, endorse someone like this. It's one thing for him to say on his own that release a Snyder Cut. That's one thing for him to say, and for us to be like, yeah, because it's you, we don't really care, and. Everything after that is to look at the person as an individual and who they actually are.
All right, I think that pretty much covers that specific conversation. I know we kind of got heated on it. I think it's important because our voice is a specific voice, and we strongly believe that the Snyder campaign, not a Snyder Cut campaign, but Zack Snyder's fan base is very much diverse, and it has all sorts of political sides and and people have different, obviously, upbringings and lifestyles, and whatever the case might be, and that's all well and good. I'm not saying that, if you're this kind of person, you can't like these movies, but the moral of the story is, be careful who you're bringing into your circle, because...
And I think we should make a distinction really quickly, because I think, like a lot of our podcasts, sometimes people take like 3 words, article on it. One, like, kind of like very important distinction to make is like, it's not like our problem with Ben Shapiro is not so much that he's alt-right or something. It's more so about like specific things that he has said. It's not about his political ideology. It's more about the kind of shit that has come out of this guy's mouth.
Yeah, and
so it's not about like you can be alt-right. That's okay. You want to follow that? Go ahead. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about specific cases or specific incidents where this guy has said some crazy, stupid shit. And the reason I brought up a specific massacre is to show you the reality of what can happen when you allow these people, when you give these people a platform.
Exactly.
He has his own platform already, but at the same time, in the comic book world, he's a nobody. No one gives a shit about Ben Shapiro. So to give him that is a mistake.
Yeah, and then you're basically making him a figurehead. If you put him in this campaign, he'll be the biggest voice right away, because he's still Ben Shapiro, and obviously everyone knows him. He has 2 million subscribers. He has a following. He'll become your poster child, and trust me, you make him the poster child of the Snyder Cut, you can kiss it goodbye. We're never going to see it. Ever.
Yes, because whether you like it or not, this is going to hurt some of the fans that come from the other side, but whether you like it or not, the people that are running Warner Brothers, most of them, they ain't about that life, right?
Yeah.
They not only are they not about this life, they're not about that political life. They don't like the kind of crap he says politically, which we're not even diving into that sphere. We don't really care about that.
Yeah.
So that's to show you if your goal is to #release the Snyder Cut, then you're an idiot if you're gonna make this guy anything.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I couldn't have said it better myself, honestly. And I think that's pretty much it. And I would say, literally, take our voice as something important on this one.
I think we should just say that we all publicly said we want the Snyder Cut, but we're not gonna sell
our souls away.
Exactly, we're not gonna sell our souls. We're not gonna put our ethics and our dignity aside for a person who says us, the Farooqi Bros, and all of the Muslims are diseases, just so we can see another cut of a movie. Yeah, and there's a limit.
You don't lose your moral center. You keep yourself realistic. If someone tomorrow said the same, it's not even because we're Muslims. Because I'm saying take our voice seriously, because like it or not, we are one of the very few Muslim critics and press in this industry. I know we're at every single press screening. We are the only ones there. So if you understand our voice here, that we're using our platform to actually tell you guys something and educate you guys on a perspective you haven't seen. And it's not just because of, it's Muslims. If tomorrow you pick any alt-right guy, if tomorrow freaking Alex Jones said release a Snyder Cut, I will go after him too, even though he hates Muslims, but he talks a lot of shit about Hispanics. He talks a lot of shit about African Americans. So we will fight for all those groups, So it's not like, just because he's talking about us, we're taking a stance. I'm saying make sure you know what the hell you're getting into, because if this is the first thing you're gonna let go, then you're letting go everything. So I'll just keep the moral center, and don't lose your soul for a comment or two, and for any random verified check to say 4 words. All right.
But Zack Snyder, I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help. Like, it's not in our interest. So
it won't get the cut release. So that's
only make the release Snyder look worse in the mainstream. That's it. That's all it's gonna do.
Yeah. So again, I would say, take a second to understand what we're saying, and we have, if there's any questions, where are you guys coming from on this? All you gotta do is listen to our podcast. We have spent almost every podcast talking about the cut and talking about Zach's vision, and whether it's Clay Enos or Larry Fong or Jay Oliva, it's always the same thing, and we have a goal, and we have a sense of dignity we carry ourselves with, and we want to kind of spread that to the fandom. And I would say don't drop too low for the lowest hanging fruit, because that's usually the rotten fruit. All right, so
Let's use the rotten tomato.
yeah,
Oh my
so
god.
so so
On that note, end it.
exactly. On that note, thanks for listening to this one, man. It's a quick one, and we'll be back for Shazam spoiler podcast soon, and maybe even a Joker reaction. We'll let you know. So, all right. So, from myself, from Zayyan, from Omer, and from Samir, this is the Farooqi Bros. We'll see you next time. Peace out.